What is going on, everybody? It's good to talk to you today. Today, I want to cover a couple things. I want to differentiate the families that are extremely healthy versus families that are a little bit more sick all the time. They're in and out of doctor's offices. They're on a lot more medication. They're really just not as well as they could be. And there's a couple things. There's one biggest thing that I think is the biggest differentiator for families that are extremely healthy, and that is this. They understand to some capacity that the human body is a self-healing, self-regulating organism. It's a self-healing, self-regulating organism. Now, a lot of you guys already know that. If you cut your finger is going to heal. If you break your arm under the proper circumstances will heal on its own. It doesn't even matter. A lot of people think, well, yeah, I got to go to the doctor to get a cast on. And you know what? If it's displaced, then yes, absolutely, that would be extremely necessary. But no matter what, that arm is going to heal in some capacity just the way it is. So what causes this? Where does this come from? And really, we did a video last week, if you haven't watched it, with me and Dr. Brian Rand, where he wanted to know some chiropractic miracles that I've seen in this practice. And as I thought about that question a little bit more, I think about the process of mom and dad coming together, sperm cell and an egg cell, and it creating a brand new baby, right? And everything that has to happen from the moment of conception up until 9 months later when that baby is actually born. In my mind, that is a miracle. That is the biggest miracle. And if that can happen, all those little tiny processes, cells not only multiplying, but then cell types changing into different cell types to create different tissue types, which ultimately created you, that is the biggest miracle. And the thing with that miracle is that same miracle that created you is that same miracle that's keeping you in existence. It's the same thing that when you cut your finger, your body heals it. When you break your arm, your body heals it. When you go to sleep at night, and you don't have to think about breathing, you don't have to think about healing, you don't have to think about digesting. Your body just does that on its own. And in chiropractic, we call that your body's innate intelligence or inborn intelligence. And it's within every living thing, not just even humans. It's within every living thing. So that innate intelligence is where, as a doctor, my trust in the body comes from, that my trust in the body to heal actually comes from. But as a father, it's the reason why I don't run to the medicine cabinet if my kids are sick. It's the reason we don't run to the doctor on every cough or sniffle, because we understand the body's ability to heal. We understand the body's ability to recover from what it's going to and recognize what's going on and then to adapt. Which brings me to the second part of this. When we talk about the human body regulating and healing, another way I like to describe this is the body's ability to adapt. The body's ability to adapt. If you think about it, here in Phoenix, the temperature just went from hot to cold, from cold to hot, back down to cold again, right? Every time this happens, your body has to adapt. There's chemical processes in your body where your body has to adapt. That's why you notice a lot of times when the season changes, some people get sick, while some people don't. That's your body's inability to adapt properly to the change in its surroundings. Now, sometimes as the seasons change, we call it flu season. We have different words for different seasons. It's not that as much as your body has to adapt more through certain times than other times. When you give your body lots of sugar, when you give your body alcohol, there's chemical processes going on in your body to adapt to those changes. Now, your body doesn't know positive or negative. We already know when we eat a lot of sugar, when we drink a lot of alcohol, those are negative things that we're putting into our body, but then our body is positively adapting to help get back to a set point of where it should be. And that's why a lot of times things like throwing up, vomiting, if you feed yourself a ton of sugar or feed yourself a ton of alcohol, you vomiting, we recognize that as being sick, but it's really your body clearing itself of something that it sees as an intruder to adapt to get yourself back to a set point. Stomach flu is the same way. If there's something that your stomach, your body doesn't like, and it's purging itself, it's trying to get a lot of these invaders out. The fever is the exact same thing. One big thing with the fever, a lot of times when kiddos have fevers or adults have fevers, the first thing people do is they want to take something to bring that fever down. That fever is your body's natural adaptation to cooking out the bad and only raising enough to not harm anything good. So it's your body's incredibly smart. It raises the fever just enough to cook out the negative, to cook out the bad, so that your body can start to battle whatever's going on. If you get a knee replacement, if you get a hip replacement, system. And if you get anything like that, your body has to adapt to that. Biomechanically, your body has to adapt. Now, I see people come into my office all the time with things like scoliosis, curvatures in the spine, but what you will never see, and you might have somebody tell you, oh, I have a really bad scoliosis, and you look at them, and sometimes when it's really bad, you can tell when you look at their mid-back, but a lot of times, just by looking at them, you won't be able to tell that they have a scoliosis. And if you think about it, if their spine is all curved like an S, like a snake, why is nobody's head on like this? It's because your body will always adapt to keep your head straight over the top of your sacrum, the bone at the very bottom of your spine. It doesn't matter who you are, your body will always adapt to keep that proper head over the sacrum, to keep your head over the base of your spine. And that's just your body's natural adaptation to that thing. But your body will always, one of the biggest things that, the biggest things that I see, that I draw a lot of people's attention to when it talks about your body's adapting hormonally, is when a man takes testosterone or a man takes steroids. It's a really big common thing. We all know what happens. The testicles start to shrink because you're adding testosterone in a system. Your body's natural adaptation is say, hey, we don't need any more of that, so we're going to minimize the size of the testes, the organ that's producing testosterone naturally, because there's already too much of it in the system, so it's going to shut down the production of it naturally. This is why one of the biggest things that I see in young women, especially when they're on birth control, when you introduce hormones into one of the most complicated systems, the endocrine system of females is one of the most complicated systems in the human body. Now, that's not a joke. That is one of the most complicated systems in the human body, the endocrine system of a female. When you add hormones into that artificially, it's going to throw off everything else, which is why so many women have issues either getting pregnant or mood issues. They have irregular periods when they start to get off of that, because all your body has adapted to an artificial condition that you put on it. Whenever we put our bodies into these artificial conditions, your body's going to have an adaptation, and a long time, over time, this is going to be a negative thing for our health, because if just left to its own devices, your body is going to naturally adapt the way it should. But when we start to add things and take things away, now we're turning our body into a science experiment. And when we start to take things out now that your body's used to having, your body is already adapted using that. It's the same thing is if I were to cut off part of my leg, my body, let's just say I cut off my leg from the knee down, and I've lived that way and I'm all tilted over. Now if I go to add something into that, it's going to throw everything off, because your body has adapted to a certain biomechanical change, and now you add something, you change something, it's going to have to readapt back. So the chiropractic adjustment, what we're doing as chiropractors is meant to help facilitate this process of adaptation. We're not trying to take pressure off of a joint just for the sake of taking pressure off a joint, getting movement in the spine just to get you so you can touch your toes. We're taking pressure off of a part of your spine that's limiting your body's ability to adapt. When your spine stops moving the way it's supposed to, it puts pressure on the nervous system. It restricts the nervous system, the spinal cord and the spinal nerves, from being able to move, which restricts that message, that flow of communication from the brain out to the body, and it restricts your body's ability to adapt. So when we restore that, when we restore the normal juxtaposition of the vertebra, it takes pressure off of those nerves. It allows that normal communication from the brain through that signal in the spinal cord, through the nerves, so that your body can start to communicate but really as it communicates better, what it's doing is it's communicating, telling itself how to adapt. It's called a feedback mechanism. Your brain sending signals back down into your body, and then your body sends signals back to your brain, telling it how it needs to adapt, how it needs to change to keep you as healthy as possible. The best news out of all of this that you can take away is your body is always going to do whatever it needs to do to be as healthy as possible. We just need to let it do that and not interfere with it as much as possible. Now, the medical system that we have in America, if you were to break your leg, you're in a car accident, you have something happen that's catastrophic, right? Our emergency systems are great for these situations. If you break your arm, if your arm's hanging off by a limb, don't go get adjusted. don't go get adjusted. You need to go to the emergency room. But even once you go to the emergency room, once they stitch you up, once they put you in a cast, whatever they do, now they're relying on the same thing that I'm talking about, your body's natural ability to heal and adapt, to heal what just happened. You never have had your medical doctor stitch something up, put you in a cast, and say, well, we don't expect any more pain, or we don't expect it. Nope, you would never expect that, because now what they're doing is they're sending you home so that the natural process of your body to heal can actually take place to go heal that, fix that arm. The exact same thing happens in the office. When we put an adjustment, when we do an adjustment, we're removing the interference. Now we're sending you back out in the world so that your body can start to heal. It doesn't take place right there. What we're doing is we're removing your body's interference to doing what it was supposed to be able to do all along. It's the same if you get shot. The surgeon's going to go take the bullet out, they're going to clean the wound, they're going to stitch you up. It doesn't change the fact that that still needs to heal. And the exact same thing is happening when we adjust you. You come in, you're all twisted, contorted, we make an adjustment. Now we remove the interference to your body healing. Now that tissue, the nerves, everything around there has to go and actually heal, which is why we like to stay on top of it. So I hope this helps. What I wanted to do, I wanted to start to shift and change your mindset so that when the little things start to come, when you get the sniffles, when you get the allergies, when the seasons start to change and you get a little bit of cold, work with your body, not against it. The more you interfere with your body's natural ability to heal itself, the more you're kicking the can down the road and your body has to heal again from the medications, the things that you're putting in there to artificially try to stimulate you feeling better. They're not actually making you better. So if you have any questions, this is a big, broad topic, but it's one of the most important topics when it comes to your health, you understanding your body, your kids' bodies, how your body reacts and functions to just everyday life. So I hope this helps. If you need anything, please reach out to me, Dr. Galen at adioaz.com. You can always shoot me a text. You can always reach out in the comments here. Subscribe, like the channel, and the post. If you need anything, reach out. Thank you guys. Bye.